What if I told you that the secret to crystal clear vision at 90 was discovered over 1,000 years ago? And what if that same secret was used to help an 87-year-old patient in the modern day? It sounds like science fiction, but this is a true story that will completely change the way you think about what your body is capable of. Today, we're diving into the timeless wisdom of the legendary Avicenna. We'll uncover how a modern doctor, inspired by ancient texts, performed what can only be described as a miracle. Stick around until the end, because you're not just going to hear about this incredible case. You'll learn a simple, holistic approach to keeping your eyes healthy for a lifetime. Ready to see the world in a whole new way? Let's get started. Before we get to the story, let's talk about the man behind the wisdom, Avicenna. Known in the East as Abu Ali ibn Sina, he was a Persian polymath and physician who lived at the turn of the 11th century. He is widely considered one of the most influential figures in the history of medicine. His masterpiece, The Canon of Medicine, served as the primary medical textbook in European universities for over 500 years. So, why does his work still matter today? Because Avicenna saw the human body as a single, interconnected system. He didn't just treat a bad eye. He searched for the root cause within the entire body. This holistic approach is the very heart of our story. In a world where we're used to taking a pill for every symptom, the idea that you can restore your vision by changing your lifestyle and nutrition might sound revolutionary. No, for Avicenna, it was the very foundation of healing. Our story begins with a patient. Let's call him Victor. At 87 years old, Victor's world was slowly but steadily fading into a blur. The diagnosis was grim: age-related cataracts and early-stage macular degeneration. Surgery was considered too risky given his overall health, and standard treatments like eye drops or medications provided only fleeting, minor relief. Victor had almost resigned himself to the fact that he might never read his favorite books again, or clearly see the faces of his grandchildren. It was a profound sense of despair and helplessness, one that sadly many seniors know all too well when facing vision loss. His doctor, a young and dedicated ophthalmologist, had exhausted every standard protocol without success. But he wasn't ready to give up. He simply couldn't accept the idea that modern medicine was powerless, and that frustration is exactly what drove him to search for a more unconventional solution. The doctor who stepped up to take on this seemingly hopeless case was named André. He wasn't just a physician. He was a researcher at heart. André lived by the belief that the answers to our modern health crises were hidden in the wisdom of the past. He spent his quiet hours buried in ancient medical treatises, from the works of Hippocrates to the teachings of ancient Chinese masters. One afternoon, in the quiet corners of the university library, he came across Avicenna's The Canon of Medicine. He didn't read it as a historical artifact. He read it as a practical, living manual. He was struck by the sheer depth and systematic nature of Avicenna's work. It wasn't just a list of symptoms. It was a map showing the synergy between organs and the profound impact of emotions, nutrition, and even the environment on the human body. André soon realized that he wasn't just looking at a book of remedies, but at an entire philosophy of health. It was a radical departure from the clinical approach he'd been taught in medical school, and it was right there, within those ancient pages, that he discovered the chapter that would change everything. This chapter was dedicated to preserving the light of the eyes and treating the clouding of the lens. Avicenna explored the reasons why vision fades with age in great detail, but he didn't believe it was inevitable. In fact, He claimed that the process could be slowed down and even reversed. As Andrew read on, he was captivated. The ancient physician spoke of thick and viscous fluids in the body that rise to the head and fog the vision. In modern terms, he was describing metabolic dysfunction, the accumulation of toxins, and poor circulation. Instead of simply treating the eyes with drops, Ibn Sina proposed a complete systemic detox. Andrew realized this was the missing piece of the puzzle. While modern ophthalmology often treats the eye as an isolated organ, Avicenna advocated for treating the whole person over 1,000 years ago. Inspired by this insight, Andrew developed a recovery program for Viktor Petrovich, based entirely on the wisdom of this ancient treatise. The cornerstone of Avicenna's system was purification. The great physician believed that every ailment, including those affecting the eyes, stems from internal toxicity. In his view, a poor diet and an unhealthy lifestyle cause toxic humors to build up in the body. This thickens the blood and lymph, preventing vital nutrients from reaching the organs. Since the eyes are incredibly delicate and rely on a dense network of blood vessels, they are often the first to suffer. That is why Viktor Petrovich's program didn't begin with eye drops, but with detoxification. Andrei advised him to drink plenty of clean water, at least 1.5 to 2 liters a day, to literally flush his system from the inside out. His diet was also supplemented with light vegetable soups and herbal teas, known for their gentle diuretic and bile-cleansing properties. The goal was simple: to support the liver and kidneys, the body's primary filters, in clearing out accumulated toxins. This was the essential foundation. Without it, Avicenna believed any other treatment would be useless. Next, we turned to nutrition. Avicenna viewed food not merely as a source of pleasure, but as a form of medicine. To restore eyesight, he recommended a specific range of foods, with carrots naturally topping the list, but with a crucial distinction. He advised eating them cooked with a small amount of oil, understanding that certain nutrients can only be absorbed alongside fats. This was a remarkable insight, predating the modern discovery of fat-soluble vitamins by centuries. But it didn't stop at carrots. Fennel and saffron also held a special place in his teachings. According to Avicenna, fennel clears the vision and lifts the fog from the eyes. He described saffron as a true treasure for the elderly, believing it could strengthen the spirit of the eye and restore its vitality. Following these ancient principles, we added stewed vegetables with fennel to Victor's daily meals and recommended a pinch of saffron in his warm drinks or rice dishes. This wasn't just a diet, it was targeted nutritional therapy. Let's take a closer look at saffron. Why was Avicenna so fascinated by it? To him it wasn't just a luxury spice, it was a potent medicine. He described saffron as having a hot and dry nature, one capable of clearing the cold and damp blockages that lead to blurred vision. Today, we can explain this through the lens of biochemistry. Modern research confirms that saffron is packed with unique antioxidants, specifically crocin and safranol. These compounds protect retinal cells from free radical damage and significantly boost blood flow to the back of the eye. What's even more impressive is that clinical trials have shown that regular saffron intake can slow the progression of age-related macular degeneration, the exact condition Viktor Petrovich was facing. It's incredible to think that, through intuition or centuries of observation, Avicenna reached the same conclusions as modern scientists using today's most advanced technology. Truly remarkable. In addition to recommending healthy foods, Avicenna was adamant about cutting out the harmful ones. He even compiled a black list for anyone looking to preserve their eyesight. At the top of his list were foods that dry out the body's natural moisture or thicken the blood, specifically anything overly salty, spicy, or smoked. He also warned against heavy, greasy meals and excessive amounts of fried meat, believing they put an unnecessary strain on the liver. For Avicenna, a healthy liver was directly linked to the health of the eyes. Furthermore, he suggested limiting raw onions and garlic, as he believed their hot nature could cause blood to rush to the head and increase ocular pressure. This meant Viktor Petrovich had to seriously rethink his eating habits. Giving up his favorite salted fish and spicy sauces wasn't easy, but he was determined. Andrei helped him stay on track, explaining that these dietary changes weren't a punishment, but a vital part of the healing process. Avicenna believed that a healthy daily routine, especially when it comes to sleep, was just as vital as proper nutrition. He was convinced that sleep is when the body restores Ru, the vital life force essential for healing. Our eyes, which work hard all day, require deep rest in total darkness to fully recover. He advised going to bed within 2 or 3 hours of sunset and rising with the dawn. In his view, sleeping during the right hours is far more valuable than simply sleeping for a long time, or sleeping in late. For Viktor Petrovich, who was used to watching television late into the night, this was a real challenge. Andrei suggested a new evening ritual, turning off all screens an hour before bed, airing out the room, and drinking a cup of soothing herbal tea, such as chamomile. Gradually, Viktor's routine began to stabilize. He soon noticed that after a night of proper sleep, his eyes felt much more refreshed in the morning. The dry, gritty sensation had finally disappeared. Avicenna, of course, had his own profound take on eye health, but this wasn't the typical eye gymnastics we're used to today. He didn't just have people move their eyes up and down. His approach was far more mindful. One of his core principles was the art of contemplation. He advised his patients to spend time gazing at something beautiful and harmonious in the far distance. For him, the ideal subjects were found in nature, the lush greenery of trees, the stillness of water, or a clear, open sky. He believed this would soothe the visual spirit and release deep-seated tension. He also recommended a gentle way to shift focus. Look at a distant tree outside the window, then slowly bring your attention back to the fine lines on your own palm. This subtle exercise strengthens the eye muscles without overstraining them. Following the wisdom of the ancient sage, Viktor Petrovich began spending 20 minutes every day by his window, simply looking out at the park. One of the most remarkable insights from the teachings of Avicenna is the deep connection between our emotions and our physical health. He was convinced that intense negative emotions, such as anger, rage, and chronic anxiety, could literally poison the body. Avicenna wrote that anger causes the liver to boil, pushing black bile toward the head, which ultimately harms the eyesight. Because of this, a key part of Viktor Petrovich's treatment was learning to soothe a heated mind. Andrei introduced him to simple breathing exercises, a slow, deep inhale through the nose, followed by a long, steady exhale through the mouth. Practicing this for just 5 minutes a few times a day helped significantly lower his stress levels. He was also encouraged to listen to calming music and limit his exposure to distressing news. Initially, Viktor was skeptical, struggling to see how his nerves could possibly be linked to his vision. However, over time, he began to notice a pattern. On the days he felt truly calm and at peace, his vision seemed sharper, and the constant strain in his eyes finally began to lift. Beyond internal cleansing and a healthy diet, Avicenna also relied heavily on topical herbal remedies. One of his favorites for eye health was fennel, which we've mentioned before. But he didn't just recommend eating it. Ibn Sina suggested brewing fennel seeds into a decoction to be used as a gentle eye wash. The process was simple. Steep a teaspoon of seeds in a cup of boiling water, let it sit, and then allow it to cool to a comfortable temperature. After straining the liquid through several layers of cheesecloth, the infusion could be used to gently rinse the eyes every morning and evening. Modern science supports this ancient wisdom, confirming that fennel possesses mild antiseptic and anti-inflammatory properties. This simple routine helps soothe eye strain, reduce redness, and keep the eyes hydrated. For Viktor Petrovich, this became a calming nightly ritual that brought his eyes much-needed relief after a long day. Another herb that Avicenna held in high regard for eye health is eyebright. Its name truly says it all. It has long been known in traditional medicine simply as the eye herb. Avicenna recommended using it as a warm compress. To do this, the dried herb was steeped to create an infusion. Cotton pads or soft cloths were then soaked in the warm liquid and applied to closed eyelids for 10 to 15 minutes. This remedy was believed to soothe inflammation, reduce tearing, and ease general eye strain. Eyebright contains natural compounds with potent astringent and anti-inflammatory properties. These compresses help improve circulation around the eyelids and release tension in the eye muscles. Andrei included this practice in Viktor Petrovich's routine as a gentle way to care for his vision. It was particularly effective in the evenings, helping the eyes unwind and prepare for a full night of restorative rest. Like many ancient Eastern physicians, Avicenna placed a high value on the healing power of massage. He believed that targeting specific points on the body could balance one's vital energy and improve blood flow. To maintain clear vision, he recommended a light daily massage around the eyes, performed with gentle precision, using only the fingertips. The technique began with soft strokes above the eyebrows, moving from the bridge of the nose out toward the temples. This was followed by a similar gentle touch below the eyes, tracing along the edge of the eye socket. He also suggested applying light pressure to the inner corners of the eyes and the temples. The goal wasn't to work the muscles, but to stimulate the delicate capillaries that nourish the eyes. A practice remarkably similar to modern acupressure. Viktor Petrovich made this routine a part of his every morning. It helped him fully wake up, cleared away any puffiness, and refreshed his eyes for the day ahead. This brings us to one of the most vital and perhaps most surprising aspects of Avicenna's teachings on vision. He was firmly convinced that the key to healthy eyes lies within the liver. Avicenna viewed the liver as the mother of the blood, the primary organ responsible for purifying the bloodstream and enriching it with essential nutrients. According to his logic, if the liver becomes overwhelmed by toxins, impure blood circulates through the entire body, eventually reaching the eyes and triggering disease. Interestingly, this mirrors a long-standing principle in traditional Chinese medicine. The liver opens into the eyes. This is why a major focus of Viktor's vision recovery plan was supporting his liver. His diet was updated to include foods Avicenna prized for their healing properties: artichokes, beets, leafy greens, and milk thistle tea. At first, the idea of treating his eyes by focusing on his liver seemed strange to Victor, but as André explained the ancient logic behind it, the connection became remarkably clear. While Avicenna focused on complex internal health, he was just as mindful of simple external factors. He strongly advised protecting the eyes from what he called external enemies, blinding sunlight, harsh winds, and dust. His remedy was straightforward. Wear a wide-brimmed hat on sunny days and shield your face when it's windy. It may seem like common sense, but these are rules we often ignore. We now know that overexposure to UV rays is a major risk factor for cataracts, while wind and dust can dry out and inflame the eyes. Essentially, 1,000 years ago, Avicenna was already advocating for what we now know as sunglasses and basic eye safety. André encouraged Viktor Petrovich to always wear high-quality sunglasses outdoors, even when it's cloudy, since UV rays still pass through the clouds. This simple habit became one more brick in the wall, protecting his vision. It's been a month since Victor started the program. He followed every instruction to the letter, staying hydrated, cleaning up his diet, keeping up with his exercises, and getting to bed on time. The first few weeks were a challenge as his body adjusted, but soon he began to notice subtle changes. That morning cloudiness that used to linger for half an hour started clearing much faster. The dry, gritty feeling in his eyes began to fade. Then one day, while sitting by the window, it hit him. He could actually see individual leaves on a tree that used to be just a solid blur of green. It was a small victory, but it gave him a huge surge of hope. He called Andrew immediately, his voice filled with excitement. While his doctor was thrilled, he urged Victor not to rush to conclusions and to stay the course. He explained that true recovery is a slow process, and the goal now was to lock in those results and keep moving forward, one step at a time. The real breakthrough happened exactly 3 months later. That morning, when the mailman delivered the paper, Victor did what he'd always done. He sat in his favorite armchair by the window, but as he looked down, he froze. He could see the front page headline, perfectly clear, without any strain at all. His hands began to tremble. He picked up his glasses from the side table, but he didn't put them on. Instead, he kept reading, the subhead, then the entire first paragraph. The letters didn't blur. They stayed sharp and steady. When his wife walked into the room and saw the tears in his eyes, she feared the worst. But Victor simply held out the newspaper and whispered, "I'm reading it. I can actually see it myself." It was a powerful moment, the culmination of everything he'd worked for. Ancient wisdom, refined by the expertise and care of a modern doctor, had achieved the impossible. The vision he had been losing for years was finally coming back. It wasn't just a victory over his condition. It was a victory over despair. So, was it a miracle or science? Let's break it down. What does modern research actually say about Avicenna's methods? We've already mentioned saffron's proven benefits for the retina, but his other practices are also being backed by science. A diet, rich in antioxidants from vegetables, really does protect the eyes from damage. Staying hydrated improves circulation throughout the body, including the tiny vessels in the eyes. Eye exercises and relieving muscle tension are the foundation of modern techniques for preventing nearsightedness. Even the link between stress and vision loss is being closely studied. High cortisol levels can have a direct negative impact on the optic nerve. And what about liver health? Modern medicine confirms that liver issues lead to a buildup of toxins that can affect your sight. It turns out Avicenna wasn't a magician. He was a brilliant observer and a visionary who built a holistic health system where every element is scientifically sound and works toward one common goal. This brings us to the real secret. It wasn't a single miracle food, a magic herb, or one specific exercise that made the difference. The key to success was a holistic, synergistic approach. This is where the true genius of Avicenna lies. He understood that you cannot heal the eyes while ignoring the liver. You cannot improve circulation without first fixing your diet and managing stress. Every element of the program amplified the next. Clean water allowed the herbs to work more effectively. Proper nutrition provided the body with the resources it needed to rebuild. A calm mind redirected energy away from stress and toward healing. Physical movement and massage ensured that nutrients actually reached the eyes. Think of it like an orchestra. The beauty of the music doesn't come from a single instrument, but from their perfect harmony. While modern medicine often searches for a magic bullet, a single pill to fix everything, Avicenna's wisdom teaches us that health is a delicate balance, one that must be built with patience and a systematic mindset. So how can we apply this ancient wisdom to our modern lives? Of course, it's important to remember that this system requires both discipline and patience, and naturally before trying any new health practices, especially if you have an underlying condition, you should always consult with your doctor. But there are several core principles from Avicenna that we can start using today. Start simple. Stay hydrated by drinking plenty of pure water throughout the day. Add more leafy greens and vegetables to your diet, particularly carrots and beets. Try incorporating spices like fennel and turmeric, and if possible, some high-quality saffron. Take 5 to 10 minutes each day for basic eye exercises. Look off into the distance, shift your focus, and try some gentle eye circles. Most importantly, learn to manage your stress. Find what helps you unwind, whether it's breathing exercises, a walk in nature, or just listening to music. These small steps, once they become a daily habit, can build a lasting foundation for your eye health for many, many years to come. The story of 87-year-old Victor is far from a fairy tale. It's living proof that the wisdom of the ages, the principles laid out by Avicenna over 1,000 years ago, still works today. The real secret isn't a magic pill. It's a holistic approach to the entire body. A combination of detoxification, a healing diet rich in saffron and fennel, eye exercises, liver support, and finding inner peace while respecting the body's natural rhythms. These are the true pillars of his success. It's a vital reminder that our health is interconnected, and we must care for ourselves as a complete system. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new discovery in the world of health. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe in the power of ancient medicine? Do you have any family health traditions or traditional recipes of your own? Share your story in the comments below. We'd love to read them.